Episode 266 of the TV Dudes, recorded January 15th, 2020. 2019 Leftovers. Gentlemen, we're back.
We are.
We've been off since late December. We were all busy. We were all Kyle was traveling the world.
I'm about to say Kyle had to go and rescue the U.S. Constitution from some African diamond mine.
U.S. Constitution.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but Kyle's ancestor is actually Benjamin Franklin. He will not have He will not have his ancestor remembered as someone who. I'm doing a national treasure riff, guys. It's national treasure.
Been on a heist. Yeah, been on several heists, but.
Yeah.
Back to home base.
Of all the things I just didn't think I'd get to watch on Disney Plus, I think National Treasure.
That's a delight.
Yeah.
National Treasure. I mean, you'd almost pay the streaming fee just to have that.
Whenever I think of like TV leftovers,
Mm-hmm.
I use this as an opportunity to mention Erie, Indiana, because there was this episode where these kids were like locked in Tupperware containers at night, so they never got old.
Okay. Yeah.
The kids were like leftovers.
Okay. All right.
That's a very like kick the can Twilight Zone kind of thing.
I just look for excuses to drop Erie, Indiana.
Yeah.
Marshall!
So this week we are handling 2019 leftovers, shows that dropped at the end of December. We didn't get a chance to talk about. In particular, we're talking about Marvelous Mrs. Maisel Season 3 on Prime, Letterkenny Season 8, and Reprisal Season 1 on Hulu. And Kyle is going to talk to us about, this is not technically a leftover, but they're all kind of leftovers. The Jeopardy Greatest of All Time.
Greatest of all time. What, you guys have not been glued to Jeopardy for the past 2 weeks?
What streaming services is this on, Kyle? Is it on Hulu? Is it on Netflix?
Eventually, a smattering of Jeopardy, I think, ends up on Hulu. But
Actually,
yes.
funny enough, Netflix does have Jeopardy, which I
will watch a crazy amount of Jeopardy. It's an
20-minute
show.
chunks, no commercials. So it's just like getting your trivia fix in.
For a minute there, Hulu had a bunch of the college one. Fuck that. I want real Jeopardy.
So what are you watching it on?
We have YouTube TV, so we got all the channels.
Okay.
So I forget what it's NBC or ABC, one of them now. Maybe it's CBS. Who knows?
Okay.
But yeah, it comes on every day, and the greatest of all time. This was like their tournament of like their top winners.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was over pretty quick. There was one guy who just dominated.
Yeah, I know that guy's name, and I'm a casual Jeopardy
Underbite or
watcher.
Ken Jennings?
What? Ken Jennings.
It's Ken Jennings. Yeah. Spoilers.
I can't remember Underbite guy's name.
James.
He's the one that just recently he just knows how to gamble.
Yeah, that's James.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that as well. We also need to offer up a little bit of a staff change note here that you might notice that Grant's dulcet tones are not on this episode and haven't been on quite a few. So Grant is stepping back from the day-to-day. He's doing the Star Trek podcast. They're about to start podcasting on Picard. And he's still going to be here with us every now and then, but he is not going to be a regular anymore.
He's off making other podcasts. I feel like is the Grant's Gone to the Farm. Of like a lot of people ask me all the time, how do podcasts work? And I never want to tell them that you have to get a large enough number of hosts so that periodically the podcast can be renewed with the blood of one of us.
It's true. Yeah. And so your regular TV dudes for the foreseeable future are myself, Randy.
I'm Les.
And myself, Kyle.
And we'll have other guests from time to time. Yeah. We're hoping to have Lisa and Mariah back on from time to time.
And we've got a host of other folks that are in the wings that could jump on at any moment. Dimitri was here.
Yeah. Speaking of celebrity guests, I wanted to save this one for while we were all on mic. It's kind of a big surprise. We may have Tom Hanks coming in. I'm gonna work on that. So
all right,
you guys just stay tight. Tom Hanks is totally
we're
going
gonna
to
stay
be on
posted.
our
I'm gonna
podcast.
need everybody out there in internet land to make sure that we stay on Kyle about that.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks.
Yeah, we will check in with that every week.
Yes.
I love the look that you're giving me, Randy.
I can't decide if you're doing a bit or what the bit is.
It's a look that Kyle didn't think about this before he started talking.
So, speaking of Tom Hanks, we have a Patreon to talk about here. And if we get Tom Hanks on, I feel like our Patreon is going
I
to
was
soar.
like, man, what the fuck is the segue here?
We have this new tier where it's like,
Yeah.
for $20 a month, Tom Hanks will actually do your voicemail.
Kyle's going to get Tom Hanks to come to your house and talk to you about the TV that you love. If you're under the $20 tier.
You like
Right,
that
Kyle,
show?
you're-
I've never watched it.
You're
I don't
committed
even-
to that one, right?
I don't even know somebody who does a good Tom Hanks
Neither do I.
impersonation. So when you
It's
hear
not
it,
me.
that's
You'll know
how
it's
you're,
Tom
you'll know
Hanks.
it's
Yeah,
real.
real
Tom
Tom
Yeah,
Hanks.
we all solemnly swear none of us are capable of it.
No, absolutely not. So we do have to give a bit of a mea culpa. We screwed up. We didn't post our Patreon episodes to Patreon for the past couple months. So we didn't get any Patreon money, and we didn't take any of your Patreon money. So that's the good
On
news.
the one hand, that's fair,
Yeah.
but on the
on the other hand, the coffer's a little dry. And if you were thinking about becoming a patron,
if
in
you'd
the
like
new
to be,
year,
say, a bosom buddy of us,
then you could become a patron now. It's a great time. So throw us $1 an episode, and you can set it so it's like only 2 episodes for the month. If you only want to give like a couple dollars a month, we understand that. That's totally okay. At that level, you get exclusive Patreon only content that we are going to try and start doing regularly.
but we also have some new stuff we're offering now that we were not offering in the past, right?
Yes, but we're going to talk about that next week.
Okay, all right. So stay
perks.
tuned, guys. There are going to be new perks.
So there's gonna be new tiers we're gonna talk about next week. But this week, I just want to mention we have Patreon exclusive episodes. We've recorded some, and so if you're a patron, starting next week, you're gonna get. We played a game called Buy the Rights, where the TV dudes pitch TV.
that was
games.
amazing. Can't
And
wait for y'all to
then-
hear that.
We've got a challenge of Goldblum versus Goldblum.
Yes. Yes.
That was a ton of fun.
Goldblum Fighter.
And then we have our new project. We're going to start talking about Star Wars.
All of the Star Wars is well. Now that it's done,
Yeah, now that's done. It's all over.
Forever.
Yeah,
they've closed the book on the Star Wars.
yeah.
And,
That's it. And I guess Disney will probably find some other way to make money.
yeah.
So we're going to go through machete order.
Yes.
We are going to then maybe talk about some other shows, some movies, some
Spoofs?
parodies. Like we're going to go deep on Star Wars, and it is all like stretching and getting our minds ready, because if that all goes well, we're talking about maybe doing the MCU this year,
Straight through.
all the way through.
20 jillion plus all the little animated things that are now suddenly on Disney Plus. Like it's
Yeah.
so crazy to watch those. The intros are longer than the shorts.
Yeah, there's a crazy French Rocket Raccoon and Groot thing that my kid and I watched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So check out Patreon. Throw us $1 an episode if you can. It helps us pay for our hosting, for the web hosting, for the behind the scenes posting of the episodes, for streaming to keep up with Disney Plus and Hulu and all the other stuff we need to keep bringing you guys a variety of content. So if you're not a patron, if you can afford it, we would definitely appreciate it.
We'd even say Hanks.
We'd say Tom Hanks.
So let's talk about TV this week.
All right.
So let's start off with a little show called Letterkenny, season 8.
Yes. So, all right. This season, same as the end of last season, has some long hockey game stuff.
Yeah.
They've stepped up this arc, and they've started trying. I feel like they are finding a way to not always have fistfights.
Sometimes they have hockey games.
So the hockey games, like, it gives them this slow motion, beautiful thing. I mean, it's not all slow motion, but like gives them this action scene.
Yeah.
So they're just swapping out the action scenes, I feel like.
Yeah.
And it's a little weird. They're also flexing their newfound budget, it feels like, in the
Mm-hmm.
most weirdly obscure, small Canadian way possible. They just do a whole lot of actual sportscasters. Like,
It was so weird. I don't know who any of those guys
they're
are.
not fucking famous anywhere else but there. But, like, I had to look at my Canadian girlfriend, Fanny, and was like, are these real people? And she's like, yes, those are real people. Why are they doing this?
They had, they did their version of like the Antiques Roadshow guys on.
Yeah, and those are real, Canadian pickers. And
How do you know that they're real and that they're not made up characters for the show?
Les knows Canadian.
that's so like I looked at the Canadian I was watching it with and was like, are those the actual sportscasters on Canadian hockey games? Yep. Why are they doing this?
It's so
How much did that cost?
It's so crazy because it's basically like the bookend for the season.
now,
Like
the
they
brand
come in and they talk.
is fake. That
Oh, okay.
bro whatever that they start
The bro drink or whatever
yeah,
it is.
Yeah, that's fake. But yeah, like they flex their guest star muscle in the most obscure, weird, just for us kind of way.
I also I deeply loved is it Shorzy? Who do hockey players? Shorzy?
Oh, no, it's Jonesy and Riley.
Jonesy and Riley. Shorzy is
Shorzy's also, yeah.
Yeah.
He's their shit
Jonesy,
talker.
Jonesy and Riley, I love how much their brand manager hates them. And is
Yes.
like, why are we giving money to these idiots? And I love how they prove her right every time. It's so much fun.
Her two girls that are like, I said you were replaceable.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
I love Tanis, and so I liked seeing her have an arc of getting to do something and take over. That was great.
Yeah.
I like that they straight continued on this story of the hockey from last season.
Yeah.
That said, it made this season feel a little weird.
I also really liked. I thought the hockey game was good.
Yeah.
Like I was actually invested in it. I don't know shit about hockey.
I don't either. The action filming ability, like the directing of it, was really good.
It's like when I went and saw the Nancy Kerrigan movie. Not Nancy Kerrigan. The other
I,
one.
Tonya?
I, Tonya. And the ice skating stuff in that is beautiful and fast and really effective. Like, I don't give a shit about figure skating,
I
but
don't
it's
give
well
a shit
done.
about football, but Rudy was great.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
I really dug this. It was. They also dealt with this season, Derry trying to get Anik back.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, and also
And they also dealt with something huge.
Yeah.
Which is the fall apart of Marie Fred.
Yeah. That was a big shocker at
and
the end
Wayne.
of season
Yeah, their whole
7.
relationship.
And I thought they did a great job with that. And I liked the way they brought him together with the other girl, who I actually like a little bit better.
See, I like Marie Fred and how she was fitting in.
I did too.
And I liked her weird back and forth with it made Bonnie in a different role.
Yeah.
I was really digging where they were going with that, and it went away like that.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, so fast.
Yeah.
It really threw me off. It felt like it was sidelined. And then suddenly at the end of the season, there was this classic Letterkenny episode.
Yeah.
Where, like, there wasn't any hockey, and it was just the Hicks out.
So I also want to talk about, speaking about the other, so did you like it, though? Or you?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I'm on board. Like,
but it was a change.
It was a change. I also get that the show, they've got to stretch and find their new space and flex and see what they can do.
I liked all the relationship stuff. I liked the new guy who Wayne can't stand. But
that was great. And of course, the way they end it, he's done.
Yeah. Well, I thought because Katie has a pretty decent bullshit detector, and so the fact that she was on board with him, I thought maybe we were going to find out that Wayne was being affected by the stuff going in his life.
I really, until the moment where the guy gets, he starts with a D, and I can't think of his name.
Yeah.
Where the guy gets off the stool and looks at Wayne, everybody in this town likes me more than you, and like teases him and walks out. And that was the time where I was like, oh crap, they are going to have him be a douchebag.
Yeah.
Because Dirks. Because until then, I was like, okay, he's weird. I'm pretty sure he's cold hitting on Wayne at all times.
Yeah.
I think he's cold hitting on everything.
Yeah.
Baby, that's sweet. That's great. That's fun. That's
yeah.
Like,
I
everything
love
out of his mouth is,
method
hey, baby.
his method of speech. He's like, well, that's cool. Very cool. Very
cool. Very smooth.
stylish,
Very
smooth.
good, Kyle.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It's
you're looking sexy tonight, baby. You're looking hot.
Oh,
Looking smooth.
shucks,
Smelling
guys.
good.
another great bit of dialogue and someone who delivers dialogue. And then you're right. The final episode of the season, it is the Mennonites, right? Or is that the penultimate?
I think that's the penultimate.
That episode where they basically the Amish guys in town basically come up. They come up and there's a full on thread full of dick puns.
Oh, of course. Anytime they're there.
And then there's this whole thing where they think they're being recruited to have sex with their daughters to procreate with the Amish, and they don't know what's going on. And the dicks are they always offer up these
speaking entendres.
Yeah. They speak in entendres. They don't understand it, and so we don't know what's going on. But the whole show is full of that kind of stuff.
It's just a bunch of dick jokes once,
and it's funny as hell.
Yeah, and they also introduced a new bit of running gag. Like there was one season where we got a bunch of ought to leave this world behind.
Yeah,
and then that kind of went away.
Yeah.
Like we get these arcs of new catchphrase, not catchphrase, but bits. And this time they do a fake legal back and forth, like a cross-examination.
Yes.
And it's great. Like when Wayne put his leg up and says, would you or would you not agree? Fuck, can they run? I lost it because I think he'd made it through like a 5-minute discussion of the Amish without saying anything about how they can run.
Yep.
Which it had to be eating them up.
And also, they do enough callbacks where we got one to be fair. And that's all I ask. I need to at least see that reference once. That's one of their go-tos. I was so happy with this, and I swore to myself I was not going to watch it through.
I did the exact same thing.
I watched it in 2 days.
Yeah, 2 days. Exactly. The concession to my whole argument of like I'm not going to do this to myself again was making it 2 days instead of 1 day.
Yeah.
Because I didn't split them evenly. I realized on day 2 that I had 2 episodes left.
Oh yeah.
Because there's only 7.
7 this time. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'd watch 5 in a burst and like, damn it.
But so people know what Letterkenny is, right? Did we just jump right into it?
We jumped
Was
straight
that
the
all
fuck into
nonsense?
it. We've talked about Letterkenny on this show.
Yeah.
Okay, if you are both new, we are the TV dudes. And there is a Canadian show filmed in Sudbury. Nobody knows where that is.
Yep.
Called Letterkenny.
Yep.
That's about hicks and hockey players and skids.
Yeah, in small town Canada, and it's that's all it is.
Yes.
But it's got some of the best dialogue and some amazing comedic timing, and it's super funny. It's on Hulu. It's their exclusive now. Go watch it.
Yeah, there's going to be a jillion seasons apparently, and they drop, I don't know, right when you need them, like an angel.
So let's talk Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Yes. So we actually have an interview this week with Will Vogt, and so people can go check that out.
Yeah.
We'll need to throw that in the show notes. Will was absolutely awesome to talk to. He plays Buck Brillstein, Major Buck Brillstein, on season 3, and was nice enough to do a good chunk of a monologue in the middle of the interview. It's
nice.
a wild interview. People should go check it out.
Nice.
Yeah, no, crap, caught me off guard with that monologue there. I was like, what monologue did he do?
Yeah, and I can't remember what bit it's from now, but it's a long. I just sat back on the phone and was like, oh shit, we're just doing this. Cool.
Oh, yeah. No, I remember where I was going. So, starting this with kind of a weird one, Michelle Wolf.
Yeah.
Somebody we've talked about on the show a
Yeah,
bunch.
sure.
Great comic. She's got a hot take. She's not a fan of Marvelous
Really?
Miss Maisel.
Why?
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of articles where stand-up comics are like, this is not how this works.
Oh, because it's comedy, but it's comedy in the 60s,
but
man.
that
It's
may
different.
not be
She
her
goes-
take on it. I don't
Well,
know.
she goes, she said she's only watched an episode or 2, but she goes, honestly, I couldn't stick with it because I didn't think the jokes were funny.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Which, to be honest, a lot of what happens in the show is not on stage with her telling the jokes. The
Yeah.
comedy is like off stage and is in the situations. And actually, I think in the past seasons, one of the cool things the show does is they'll show an evolution of a joke, one that she tries out, and
Yeah.
it gets funnier as she goes.
Well, and that's one of the hard things for the show to do it all correctly. Like something they got a little not called out on in the first season, but it's just really difficult for them to do. Stand-up comics have to work the same set of material over and over
again.
and over
Yeah.
and over to get that tight 5 minutes, like they talked about in I think season 1. And TV audiences aren't going to want to watch 12 episodes in a row where the only jokes that the fictional stand-up comic tells are the same exact file. I mean, exact same.
Well, I'll say this: I think I only laugh at her bits occasionally.
Yeah, but like you said,
but
Kyle, I'm
that's
not there for the bit.
that's not the point. And also, I mean, I don't know if you guys have watched much Lenny Bruce, but Lenny Bruce is not hilarious now because what he was saying then was edgy. What it is now is been so influential. You've seen it distilled through everybody else.
I'm sure a lot of people might. I'm sure there's a fair number of people who get mad at me for this, but I think a lot of us had a disappointing moment of going off of Lenny Bruce's reputation.
Yeah.
And then it being the 90s or the 2000s whenever we were coming up and coming to a certain teenage age and you're like, Lenny fucking Bruce, oh my God.
Yeah.
And putting on a Lenny Bruce album and going, this is the most tame,
Yeah, because that I think is the thing. It's like her stuff is edgy and funny to the '60s audience because oh my God, there's a woman up there saying things. I mean, that's what the whole point is.
She has opinions and a vagina.
So I think that while Michelle Wolf is a genius and I love her, I think she's off the mark on this one. I think she's viewing it through the lens of a comedian now, and I don't think that's what the show's about.
I can see not liking this show if you simply don't like Amy Sherman Palladino's
Rapid fire dialogue.
banter style.
And I love her banter
And
style.
I love that. So I feel like either Gilmore Girl, and I know people who like one of these and not the other. I mean, because Mrs. Maisel and Gilmore Girls are definitely different shows. But I feel like that patter style is there. And it's either like an adorable blanket of a show you want to sit down with for hours at a time, or it's grating on you. I've had people explain it to me as like it grates on me. I love it. I loved Gilmore Girls, and the way that they talk on Mrs. Maisel, the way Randy put it, I think online on Facebook was perfect. I forget how much I like this show.
Yeah, that's the thing. I
Is that a good thing?
It's one of my.
I don't know, but
it's
in
one of my
between the
favorite
seasons,
shows.
I'm like, yeah, Mrs. Maisel, that was wonderful. I liked that. I'll make time to sit down, and then weeks go by, and I haven't started it,
Same.
I sat down to watch it and was like, oh fuck, this is great.
Fell in love with it. Watched the whole thing in like 3 days. Yeah, that's what happens to me. I'm like, this is a show that never looms large in my memory. I'm always like, I know this is great. I know everybody loves it. It's kind of like Mad Men in that way, and in a lot of ways, I think it does. I think the critics like it for a lot of the same reasons they like Mad Men, because it's such a perfect photo of the time, like the production design and the fashions and the settings. Like when they're in Vegas or when they're in Miami, and we're seeing this is what Vegas and Miami looked like in the '60s, when it was much more glamorous and much less sleazy. You know.
Where I'm at in the show right now, she's just getting her feet under her in Vegas.
Yeah.
Like starting to get her shit together and figure out how to do a set in Vegas that isn't all about the subway.
But I love the whole thing they're doing with Shy and his managers. Sterling K. Brown.
Shit. I was
Sterling K.
going to
Brown.
just say that.
And her
best.
learning how to
The
be
new
a
king of
manager.
banter on the show, if you ask me. And what's her manager's name again?
Susie.
Susie.
Yeah.
When him and Susie get into their little tips
Love
back
it.
and forth, like Susie Myers and Associates.
Yeah. I also love Susie
Fucking
being
scared to say anything.
Susie being intimidated by the mobster. Like that was so hilarious. Like she knows enough to be scared, like whereas Maisel doesn't. But she doesn't know enough about how to act around him. Because so she just like is basically willing to give him everything just to keep him from breaking her knees. And it's so funny.
You know, I was wondering, like, watching her engage with the mobster. There's a little bit where they get a check for playing this casino, and it's short, so she goes to, that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
She got to get that. I wonder if they do that on purpose to see, like, who has the
who has the
balls
balls.
to come in.
Yeah.
I feel like a similar thing was happening with the people shoving the money across at Joel for his whole club thing.
That was
that
amazing.
I love May.
Yeah.
Oh, I do too.
She's
She's great.
I hate Joel, and I am stunned that they've given him something to do this season that I give a shit about seeing. I want to see what happens with the club, and this entire show, from the second episode when I realized, he's not just going to go away at the start as part of the plot. When I realized he's going to stay on the show, I'm like, I don't want Joel. I don't need him. He's out of her life. Let's see Miss.
Well, so if
so
you didn't
glad
get
they're
to
finally
see
doing the
season
divorce.
2, this might be a good time to plug your ears, because to talk about the beginning of this season, you have to talk about what happened at the very end of last season.
Because boy, does it pick up
Yeah, it
with
goes
her in bed.
right into it.
Yeah.
Which is they had a moment where I believe at the end, granted it was a year ago, but I remember I wasn't sure that that's who she was calling to meet up with that night.
Right.
And then being kind of surprised that, like, hey, I'm going to go out of town, I need this, so just be cool, let's hook up one night. But it's funny because in hindsight, like, I don't know, I feel good for her that she was able to have that. Because, he is kind of he's screwed up and he's ruined everything. And, they may never get back to the place they were at before.
Yeah.
But, like, in that moment, she didn't need to, like, fool around with some new guy or anything.
She needed her reliable.
Her reliable thing. And that's still the father of her kids. And I think, even if they never, which more happens later in the season, and I'm thinking that you guys cut off right before.
Oh, I've seen all of it.
Oh, you've seen all of it?
I've seen all of it.
Yeah, I'm thinking you may have cut off right before they had a great episode together
I'm
again.
betting so, because like right now Joel's about to take over the kids for a little while on this tour. There's bound to be more to come. I'm shocked they have positioned Joel in a way where I am okay with his character still being involved.
Same.
So what do you guys think in general about shows that do this? Because I feel like this happens often where a show will show us something despicable just because they want to play the game of redeeming this character.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that's definitely what they did here. Episode 1 of season 1, we're told, hate this guy.
Yeah.
And then they come back and they're like, but he's sweet.
Yeah, he literally walks through the pilot episode flinging shit everywhere. And then, 3 seasons of redemption arc by just not firing that actor.
And they did it. I mean, I liked him by the end of the season. I don't want them to get back together ever. I don't want that.
No, I deeply want the divorce to actually be done and go through. I loved him being in court and the judge being like, So wait, who are you contesting?
Yeah, that was really good.
Moral
Yeah.
support.
Talk about great character actor. Whoever that judge is, I've seen
Yeah.
him in
He
a
turns up
handful
in
of
tons
stuff.
of shit.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
By the way, I feel like the guy Shazam, Zachary Levi,
Yeah.
his character got done dirty.
I think
And,
so too.
and I was glad to see
He
him
was such a
again this
stand-up
season.
guy.
I don't know if Les you've gotten
I've
that
not
point.
gotten that far.
He's in a little bit, and I liked the little arc that they gave him. I also want to talk about the parents.
Yeah,
man.
that's a good side.
Them
All of
being
them.
on the outs with her parents being on the outs with the
Them
with
both
the
just
money.
burning their lives down.
Yeah, and
just-
it's funny because it's a follow through on what she did.
Mhm.
Like
Oh,
she
yeah.
showed them, hey, you don't have to be who you've been all
she
your life.
started this, like
Yeah.
she cracked this dam
Yeah,
in the first season.
The rant her mom goes off where it's like, why did you have to show me free will?
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
perfectly fine doing
Yeah.
what people told me to do.
and her dad bringing in all
Oh
the
God,
anarchists.
bringing all the Bohemians
Yeah,
who
yeah.
all love their maid and
Oh man, I loved how shitty that girl was to the maid.
Zelda eggs now. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a funny bit, and it's definitely undercutting the whole
Butter
young
cookies? No,
communist
it
thing.
shows us what we're fighting against. Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked that.
I thought
I like what they did with Shy. I thought that story
Oh,
was really good.
yeah.
I don't want to say
Yeah.
too much about
No,
it,
but I love them having a kind of Belafonte, Sam Cookish,
Yeah.
Chuck Berry. Like they blend a lot of people into one fake musician. I'm a sucker for that shit. Like
Yeah.
5 Heartbeats, any fictionalized, it's not quite the musicians you know biopic. I
Yeah.
love.
Yeah. I felt like this season also had a great moment when we said goodbye to her parents' apartment.
that was a really nice
And,
moment.
Yeah, they did a really great job showing us the apartment with all the curtains taken down.
Yeah.
And you get to see what an awesome view.
Yeah.
Like, oh, shit. And then they start talking about other places they'd buy property, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, that's never going to be worth anything.
Yeah.
When she's walking down that hallway though, and the little boy's doing his weird thing of like trying to get attention,
Yeah.
Esther ran away. Like I'm literally holding her, kid. I want a cookie. It's just like, oh, this kid's freaking out with all the change.
Yeah, I liked all the changes. I liked not necessarily worrying about the characters, but I was legitimately worried about her parents. Like, I don't know how they're going to handle this.
Mhm.
And it's fun when a show can pull me in that way
Yeah.
and still be like, it's affecting. I care about these characters, but I also find it funny.
You know what I think could make the show better? If it
Aliens.
was released at a different time of the year.
I agree. It's always the last part of the year, and it never gets on my best of list because of that.
Yeah.
Like this year, I decided, I'm announcing now, my best of 2020 will include these last couple of shows because I just didn't have time to watch them in December, and it's not fair to them. They got cut out because they got released so late.
Well, not only that, people are busy around the holidays. So there's a bunch of TV that drops between the beginning of December
There's
and the
also
middle
a
of January.
Christmas Prince movie and shit. I got stuff to do.
Yeah, man, I got to watch. I
Noel?
I never got to Noel. I watched Claus.
Do you guys, you see that Arthur Christmas yet?
No.
Nope.
Oh, get on that shit. Ooh, Arthur Christmas for life. Sorry.
All right, so let's jump from Mrs. Maisel to another leftover, and this is another one that is definitely going to wind up my best of 2020. Reprisal over on Hulu. So you haven't seen any of this, right, Kyle?
Nope.
Okay.
This is the
I
spinoff
I
of
saw all
Timeless,
of
right?
Did you watch all this?
Yes.
So I watched the first 2 episodes because I'd heard about it. It sounded interesting, and I love Abigail Spencer
Yes.
from Timeless and Rectify.
See, and I don't know her from Rectify. I know her from Suits and her short arc there,
Okay, all
Scotty.
right.
But yeah, she's great. Timeless.
So this is people were telling me, oh, it's kind of noirish and it's kind of pulpy,
The
and I'm like,
reviews
oh,
I saw were like all style, no substance.
And so I watched the
know.
first couple episodes, and I was like, oh, this is interesting, but I don't know what's going on. I can't figure out, like, there's these brawlers who are a gang, and then they have the Three River Phoenixes. They're like, they're operators, and there's some weird it starts with cold opens. They're like out of time. They're showing flashbacks, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on here, but I'm curious.
Did you say Three River Phoenixes?
The Three
Yes.
River Phoenixes.
Okay, just
Yeah,
making sure.
Yep.
that's their enforcers.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, this is interesting and stylish as hell.
This show has. You start to realize that the show is operating in its own little universe. They keep referring to a war, but the more they talk about it, it is not a war that has ever happened.
No, because they get back, they actually talk about it in like episode 6 or 7.
The archipelago that they've all fought on. And like, what island did you fight on? 64th. Oh shit, man, you saw some hell.
Yeah,
I fought on the 84th. Yeah.
That's when I realized we were going full parallel universe. I thought this was just sort of timeless because they've got like 90s flip phones, but everybody looks like a 50s greaser,
and they still have rotary dial phones everywhere.
Yeah,
and everybody's got a just. It's not. Too Old to Die Young cranked.
No.
But it's a little bit cranked.
Another question.
Yeah.
You said they all have the greaser look and the flip phones, correct?
Yeah.
Do they ever flip the flip phones out like the flip knives?
They do not flip them out like switchblades. No.
Oh, missed opportunity. Especially if they had a razor.
So I watched it and I'm like, this is interesting. And I was like, I'll get back to it. And then I went back to it last week and fell in love with it and burned through it in like 2 days.
I love it. I would start it over right now. I think the style of it is so cool. They leave it open. I hope it gets a season 2.
It's got to get a season 2.
Really well for a season 2, and they do it in a way I very much like. They don't have they set up a plan. It's called Reprisal. She got done dirty. She's gone back. The fucking tagline on the poster is they all deserve what's coming to them. And that's very much you're in this like weird John Wick level alternate universe where criminality is very
the cops are all bought.
Set up. Everybody's bought. This is so much further established than you could get a criminal conspiracy, really.
And the gangs are at peace, but it's really shaky peace.
Yeah, the gangs have been at peace for years. There's these things called bangarangs that are like
bangarang.
Yeah, bangarang.
They're like an illegal ticket you buy if you know the dude to go buy this ticket from to like find out where this rave type thing is on a piece of property outside of town. If you want to fight, they got a fucking fight shoot where you can bet on dudes fighting. You want a show, they'll show you a show that'll put the donkey show to shame. Like whatever weird ass thing you want. And it's all everybody's bought.
Yeah, and they've got
whatever you want there.
One of their operation is this big club that's got this like burlesque show going on all the time.
But there's like dozens of those across the country.
Yeah.
And so you've got a guy that has gone out and scouted property for that kind of shit. Like that's a whole part of the operation. But you got these 3 guys that are the 3 River Phoenixes, and that's a rotating group of dudes who have to go between these places and actually pick up the money each week.
Yeah.
And that you got to have some bad dudes to roll around with. So they're driving this cat like they're all in suits. They got 3 RP on the back and
they got Tommy guns on the roof of their car.
The inside of their car, all of the shit's pulled out of the roof of the car, and there's guns nested in there.
And let me tell you who the 3 Rivers Phoenixes are, because you're not going to know these guys by name, but you will know them by face. So the lead guy, Maddie, is played by Reese Wakefield, who you would know as the nice guy in The Purge. Mm-hmm. He's got this weird skull face and long blonde hair, and then the guy who's like their laid back, laconic, tough guy who always has like a tape across his nose like he's been broken.
Always got a cigarette. Oh yeah.
He's from Ant-Man.
He's been wearing the same tuxedo since he was born.
Yes. God, I'm trying to remember. Find his actual name.
I can't believe I'm blanking on his name.
But he is the guy. He's the Russian dude from Ant-Man. He's like the security guy from Ant-Man.
Oh,
and he's great here. And then you got this new kid.
Yeah.
Who is working for Abigail Spencer's character.
Yeah. And there's all sorts of great moments where there's people turning on people. You got conspiracies going. You got unhappiness within the gang. There's people who don't want peace.
Yep.
It's really wonderful. But there's a couple of moments, one in particular with the greaser whose name we can't remember, the other River Phoenix.
David Desmalkin.
Where you see a couple of moments where he looks at a character who's a turncoat.
Yep. He knows.
And he knows. And he knows, but his character doesn't say anything. But there's just a moment in the background of a scene where, like, he's watching the right person. And you're like, dude, he's putting it together.
Yeah. Oh, he knows everything the whole time.
And then when it comes time for him to actually do something with that information, he doesn't.
That bit, I don't want to give away the moment, but you'll know it.
It's beautiful.
There's a bit at the end where Maddie looks back at him, and David's character, Johnson, he's like, your call, buddy. Yep. Like, he's down exactly for whatever.
It's great. Like, there's just a lot of moments where people's loyalty is a little truer to their character than the expectation for how, tropey this could be.
Earl Brown, a.k.a. Dan from Deadwood, is in here. He's the guy who's like recruiting for the Bangarang. He's also working for her. Clancy Brown is in here as a mob boss named Big Graham.
It's not Clancy Brown. It's
not Clancy Brown. It's
Ron Perlman.
Ron Perlman. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
Ron Perlman's in there. He's great.
The girl who plays Meredith, Madison Davenport.
She's great. Joel is
really
amazing.
good.
His daughter really carries the through line of the show.
Yeah.
It's so stylish and weird. Rory Cochrane from Empire Records. He will always be from Empire Records.
Yeah.
He is Bert, who actually starts all the bangerangs, like the baddest dude that all these dudes are scared of.
Yeah.
It's a wild. If you like Elmore Leonard, Greaser, dark, gritty, everyone in this deserves whatever the fuck happens to them. Like it's like that side of Pulp Fiction of like no one is innocent in this room. No one. Whoever gets shot, it's probably all right.
A good friend of mine mentioned Streets of Fire.
Yeah.
And this very Streets of Fire. It's got this weird urban fable feel to it.
I loved it.
But yeah, it was so much better than I thought. It was like I always thought anything Abigail Spencer is in, I'm like, it's got to be at least pretty good. But I fell in love with this.
And they leave it open for a season 2, not because they pull the rug out from under me and don't give me the plan.
No, we got all the story. Yeah,
the whole story happens.
Oh man, we didn't even talk about the heist, the monster ring.
And the whole monster ring she pulls. There's a heist ring. She has to go get a gang to do her plan, and they're another gang, so they've got their own shit going on.
But you referenced Tarantino because there is some Pulp Fiction style tense dialogue stuff here.
Yeah.
When she's recruiting the monster ring, or when she brings in the people looking for the monster ring, there's some great tension that explodes into violence. There's also violence as humor. Her Molly. When Molly's left, we see Molly with this guy who seems like she's going to be in trouble.
Oh,
and the next time we see her, there's blood everywhere.
Oh my God! So that take the scene in True Romance where she has to fight the dude in the hotel room, and puts the corkscrew in the guy's foot.
Don't show the scene; just show the aftermath.
Yeah, they take that up and not like this is the new scene of that for me now that is now slotted into my memory forever.
Yeah.
What Molly does is amazing.
Yeah.
This show is just really fucking good, and what's going to happen if they get a season 2 is literally the aftermath of tit for tat fucking with these people.
Yeah.
It makes total sense. It's not that I didn't get to see the plan happen. It's that nothing happens in a vacuum and nothing ever ends. You can't kill this many. Like, everybody is in the right place where it makes sense what their character's going to do next. And you can see the problems coming.
Yep. Kyle, you want to talk to us about Jeopardy?
Well, I had a question about Reprisal before we get off. So when what's her name, Abigail Spencer?
Yeah.
So when she's putting together her team, does anybody ever say to her, Abigail Spencer, you son of a bitch, I'm in?
No.
You guys got to get on that Rick and Morty season 4.
We're going to talk about that next week.
Yeah.
All right. So tell us about Jeopardy.
We got to hit the music. Music cue. Yeah, I never thought in a million years that I would be sitting here today before you, the great TV Dudes listeners, to talk about Jeopardy.
I didn't either. Didn't see this coming.
So Jeopardy was always on in the TV in the cafeteria in college for me. I know they just always put it on there. It was either that or like a soap opera that the football team liked to watch. So you couldn't argue with it. If it was on the soap opera, you were stuck with it.
Mm-hmm.
But we all watched a fuckload of Jeopardy. And then later on, when I was bartending after college, weirdly, all the drunks watched Jeopardy or Cash Cab. And so I really like Jeopardy.
Well, I have in-laws. So getting back from vacation with the in-laws, this is what they do at 5 p.m. every day, is they get dinner ready, they sit down, they do a little Wheel of Fortune, a little Jeopardy, and then a little 7 o'clock bedtime. But what is exciting is this was Jeopardy greatest of all time. So this is like top-level trivia players. And not only that, but like top of their game gamblers. Like the game has changed. People don't start with the low. Well, granted, I haven't watched a ton outside of this like special match, but the level that these guys were playing, they were starting with the highest value questions first. Every daily double, they were doing the push, all in, and the idea. And oh my gosh, if these strategies weren't working, because they were getting. One guy had $60,000 in one game.
Jesus.
Yeah. Or in one half of a game. Oh, that was the other thing. They changed up the format. So these guys are playing so quick. They're clearing a board of questions like much faster than the average person. They did 2 rounds each night. And it was the first person to win 3 games. So technically, first person to win 6 games. And James, who I think you guys are calling him Underbite, he's kind of the professional gambler guy.
He's a poker player guy, right?
Yeah, he's won a ton of this. He won one of them, but then Ken Jennings, I think is his name.
Ken Jennings.
The longest running.
Yeah.
Yep. This guy, oh man, he
I know
cleared
them
3.
by their legend.
You watch this guy play. All he does is practice his Wheel of Fortune at home. Like they had a clip of him. He's got a big screen TV. He's got a little clicker in his hand, and he's just doing questions over. It has to be all he does, because every time a question came up, he was like ready for it. He also did this thing where I was like, "Are you kind of putting on an act right now?" Where he would get a question, he'd make a face like, "Oh no, I don't know the answer to this. Hey Alex, is it this?" And they go, "You're absolutely right." And then he'd make a surprise face like, "Oh, what? I knew it? I'm right." And it's like, yeah, of course you fucking knew it. It's like some obscure province in China. Like, stop this. Stop the game.
You think his family was like, at least pretend to make it fun for other people, Ken?
Like, pretend you don't know everything.
Right. Speaking of his family, that was kind of a fun one. When his first time on Jeopardy, his son was 1 year old. This time when he came to Jeopardy, his son drove him to the airport.
Oh, wow.
wow.
That's kind of cool. Yeah.
Kind of a crazy full circle. But, something watching this like top level, Jeopardy made me realize we probably don't have too many more years with Alex Trebek.
Oh, no.
We definitely don't.
Yeah.
He's saying his farewells.
Here's the thing, though. He wasn't missing a beat. Like, he sounded the exact same way he did 2 decades ago.
Does he currently have the mustache or not?
I think he's clean shaven.
I think he's
right
clean
now.
shaven right now, and it weirds me out.
That is weird.
What weirds me out is he goes back and forth with the
Yeah.
glasses. Sometimes he'll have glasses.
Leave your look
sometimes he
alone,
won't.
sir. You're supposed to just be a Madame Tussauds wax figure
Yeah,
that reads
exactly.
fucking quiz questions.
You know what would be amazing? It'd be great if Sean Connery would come out of retirement just to come and...
I'll take the rapist for 5 minutes.
Oh, that'd be so good.
You know it's therapist.
Another thing Jeopardy has that I don't remember when I was younger, they get a lot of celebrities to guest on the board doing questions. They had a whole Ryan Reynolds category when I was watching.
That's great.
Where Ryan Reynolds did all the questions. They were about Canadians. No Letterkenny questions, unfortunately.
Yet.
Sounds like bullshit.
Yet.
But I don't know. I might just be getting old, guys. I'm kind of liking these game shows. We did that episode middle of last year, I think, where we were watching all the new game shows.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, there's a place for
we
this.
were.
Did you see the documentary about the guy that did Price is Right?
Oh shit! Yes, I
That's
did.
so good. Everybody should go out and watch
That what is
The
that
Man Who Knew Too Much or
Yeah.
something like that.
You know what? I have friends who are like, how do you watch this much TV? I don't watch anywhere near as much TV as you guys watch. I've never heard of this documentary.
Man, I go crazy for some of those Amazon documentaries. Or this might have been a Netflix one. But yeah, no, it's a guy who was just really good at the Price is Right. Like so much so that they were like, oh, well, this guy has to be cheating. And his story is that of legend.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. He made his own spreadsheet and database of prices and practiced. It's fucked
that's
up.
crazy.
It's so nuts.
Yeah.
I love it. Everybody
Because
should go watch it.
That's the thing. It's one thing to have like somebody on a show that like knows all the answers.
Yeah.
It's another thing to have somebody in the audience yelling all the right prices to the contestants.
Well, and that's the thing. Like you can,
Yeah.
and it's Price is Right, so you can take. What do you think I ought to bid? And the audience is yelling shit, right?
Yeah.
So people really did. I mean, he would tell people in line beforehand for the audience line of like, hey, I'm going to yell, trust me. And most people are like, whatever, weirdo, fuck you. But then there was a game where this lady figured out to listen for his voice, and she just started whatever he yelled, she put down. And it's great. It's in the documentary. Like they pulled him aside, like they thought he was cheating. And then he proved like, no, I studied. This is a database of prices. I can study this.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and he wasn't cheating, but he knew how to win it.
Just spent way too much. It's the same thing. Like there's interviews with Teller about how Penn and Teller, how magic works.
Yeah,
and that it's basically his quote about how magic tricks work is that magician magic works because the only conceivable way you could think that someone could fake that would require so much more prep and so many more hours of practice that it would be stupid to do it. So well, I mean, yeah, I guess you could use fishing line to float that all the way over the room and everything, but you'd probably have to spend 500 hours practicing that. That's insane.
So it must be magic.
So that's how magic works, is because like you can see how they do it, but your brain utterly discards the solution because it would be nuts.
So this sounds a lot like kind of counting cards thing. It's not technically you're not supposed to do it, but if you do
If
it,
you can fucking do it,
yeah. So
why would you not?
Do you guys think Drew Carey took this guy back and broke his legs?
Probably. I think they had Mimi do it.
All right. That is it for us this week. It's good to be back.
It is.
Yeah, nice
thank
chatting with you guys.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Les.
Thank you, Randy.
And
So
until
take
next
a moment for Grant's sacrifice.
Oh, yeah.
and until next time.
Grant TV Dudes out.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast and a member of the Electric Sweater Podcast Network. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/tvdudes. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter @TV Dudes. All the music for our show is by our friend and original TV Dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith. To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com and electricsweater.com. I'm Grant Davis. Thanks for listening.